The night sky above Earth had never looked the same. It was as if the stars themselves had dimmed in anticipation of something terrible. For centuries, humans had gazed at the cosmos with wonder, imagining the vastness of space and wondering if they were truly alone. The possibility of encountering intelligent life beyond our planet had always been a distant fantasy. But when the first signal came, an unmistakable, repetitive transmission from a distant star, those dreams shattered. At first, scientists thought it was a hoax or a freak occurrence, a cosmic anomaly. But as the signal grew stronger and more coherent, the truth became undeniable. The message was not random. It was deliberate. And it wasn't from any human being or terrestrial intelligence. It came from a race of beings far more advanced than anything humanity had ever imagined. They called themselves the Tsalians, and they were coming. The Tsalians arrived not with a display of force or violence, but with an invitation, a transmission offering peaceful communication. They showed no signs of aggression. Their message was simple: we wish to observe, learn, and perhaps offer assistance in your development. There was hope among humanity's leaders, a fragile hope that perhaps this would be the beginning of a golden era of interstellar cooperation. But that hope was short-lived. Months passed, and Earth's governments struggled to communicate with the Tsalians, who, despite their technological superiority, seemed oddly distant, cryptic in their exchanges. As their ships entered Earth's atmosphere, humanity marveled at their sleek, otherworldly designs, vast, shimmering vessels that dwarfed anything humanity had ever built. The Tsalians' ships hovered above major cities, their silent presence a constant reminder that something far more powerful than humankind had arrived. It wasn't long before the truth of their intentions became clear. The Tsalians didn't just want to observe, they wanted to control. They didn't seek partnership, but dominion. They had come not to share knowledge, but to harvest it, along with the very essence of humanity itself. The Tsalians were not peaceful explorers, they were conquerors, and their weapons were unlike anything Earth had ever encountered. When the first attacks came, they were swift and devastating. Entire cities were wiped from the face of the Earth in moments, their advanced weapons reducing human fortifications to dust. The Tsalians did not engage in conventional warfare, they used strange, unseen forces, energy fields, gravity distortions, and technology that warped the very fabric of reality. Human armies, despite their best efforts, were helpless against such overwhelming might. The human race had never faced an enemy like this, and yet, in the face of annihilation, there was no panic. There was only resistance. A global alliance formed in the wake of the attacks. Countries that had once been divided now stood together, united by the common cause of survival. The world's brightest minds, scientists, engineers, and strategists, came together to develop countermeasures, to find any weakness in the Tsalians' technology. Humanity had learned to adapt, to innovate, even in the darkest of times. There were moments of hope. A small group of human soldiers, armed with stolen Tsalian technology, managed to infiltrate one of their ships. What they found was nothing short of extraordinary: a vast, sprawling city within the ship itself, inhabited by beings who appeared as both human and alien, their forms shifting between organic and mechanical, their minds a hive of shared consciousness. It was clear that the Tsalians had not evolved by chance, but through a relentless process of genetic manipulation and cybernetic enhancement. These Tsalians were not like anything humanity could understand. They were not individuals in the traditional sense, but rather parts of a greater whole, a collective consciousness with a singular drive: conquest. The soldiers were able to transmit crucial information back to Earth before being lost, but the knowledge they gained was both a blessing and a curse. Humanity now knew the true nature of the Tsalians, but they also understood how deeply outmatched they were. In the years that followed, the war escalated. The Tsalians unleashed horrific biological weapons, mutating entire populations into grotesque, mindless creatures that served as their foot soldiers. Some humans fought on the front lines, while others took to the underground, forming resistance cells that would go on to wage guerrilla warfare against their invaders. The sky became a battleground, with human forces launching desperate counteroffensives against alien ships in the hopes of crippling their fleet. But for every victory humanity claimed, the aliens adapted. Their technology advanced at an exponential rate, and soon, the very laws of physics seemed to bend in their favor. The Earth, once a thriving planet teeming with life, began to fall into disarray. The climate grew unstable, the oceans began to rise, and ecosystems collapsed under the strain of the ongoing war. The aliens were not just invaders, they were executioners of a dying world. But amid the despair, a breakthrough occurred. A small team of scientists, led by Dr. Maria Orloff, discovered something that could turn the tide of the war, a way to disrupt the alien collective consciousness. The aliens, it seemed, were not truly invincible. Their power lay not in their technology, but in their unity. If humanity could sever their connection to the hive mind, the aliens would be reduced to individual beings, isolated, vulnerable, and weak. The plan was audacious. It involved a covert mission to infiltrate the alien homeworld itself, a journey that would take months and require the full strength of Earth's remaining forces. Dr. Orloff and her team were prepared to risk everything in order to carry out the mission. But even as they prepared to launch their final assault, a chilling realization took hold: the aliens had anticipated this move. They had been watching Earth all along, learning from humanity's every strategy, every weakness. The final battle was nothing like what anyone had imagined. It wasn't a clash of armies or a desperate struggle in the skies. It was a battle of minds. As Dr. Orloff and her team approached the alien homeworld, they encountered resistance unlike anything they had ever faced, a psychic barrage, an overwhelming flood of alien thought that threatened to break their will, to rend their minds apart. The aliens, in their collective intelligence, were more than just invaders, they were a unified consciousness, a force that transcended individual existence. But humanity's will was stronger. In a desperate gamble, Dr. Orloff and her team managed to implant a virus into the alien network, fracturing their unity and plunging the invaders into chaos. It was a slow process, but as their hive mind fractured, the aliens began to lose their power. They became confused, divided, and for the first time since their arrival, vulnerable. The war did not end in one decisive victory. It ended in the slow, painful collapse of the alien empire, as their collective consciousness unraveled piece by piece. The Earth, battered and scarred, began to heal, its people forever changed by the war. The aliens, once a symbol of unchallenged dominance, were now just a memory, a shadow of a once great species that had overestimated its own power.